इसका रह गया ना, आ गया? हाँ, आ गया दोनों। ये दोनों ही वहीं की है।
Thank you so much.
No male counterpart has come forward with a paper for the purpose of women empowerment, which should be
Mr. Manoj Chatterjee, but I think he is not.
He is also not turned up. Well, anyways, I was just presenting a few points with respect to women empowerment, a few constitutional measures, as well as few other institutional measures which are present in our system to support women empowerment. The steps which have been undertaken to provide constitutional safeguards and institutional framework for activities pertaining to women are that it has been developed in the law, it has provided as to what women should be guaranteed. The development of women has been the central focus since independence. There have been various policy shifts in the approaches in the last few years. It has developed from the concept of welfare to development and now to the concept of empowerment. The emphasis is on the inclusion of women in decision making and their participation at all policy formulation levels. Gender justice, India had declared 2001 as the year of women empowerment, whereby they laid down several guidelines on the basis of which empowerment of women would be given. In the Indian context, the vital issues at that point of time which had to be addressed were creation of maternity fund, ban on sex determination tests, reservation of women in government jobs, treating bride burning and dowry deaths as murders, provision of public toilets and smokeless chulas in the villages, more hostels for single women in urban areas, full justice to rape victims, making them joint owners of house and land, and making women co-sharers in the wealth and incomes of their husbands as well as parents, to bring the women at par with men in the real sense. We have, besides this, the constitutional measures of Article 14, which is the basic structure of our constitution, empowering the rule of law whereby no person will be discriminated against. Article 15, subclause 3, empowering special provision may be made with respect to women where it is so required, and it will be based, it is not discrimination in that sense, but it is special provision for women which is acceptable by the law. Under judicial measures, we have several cases like the Mary Roy's case, whereby they recognize women's rights in the court cases for property rights. We have the Vishakha case in 1997, which guaranteed right to practice any profession, trade or business, and the right to work in an independent and a safe working environment, and the right to live with dignity ensured under Article 21. Besides this, we have almost as much as 39 laws with respect to women. And if they are elaborated, they would take a lot number of time. So I would like to just compress my presentation in a very few words. We have an institutional framework whereby we have a Department of Women and Child Development, which looks after major affairs in relation to women. Then we have a National Commission for Women, which was set up in 1992. The functions of this department are multifaceted, where they review legislations, they intervene in individual complaints of atrocities, where there's denial of rights and sexual harassment at workplaces. They intervene where there are remedial actions for safeguarding the interests of women and there is speedy justice to be provided for women. In addition to this, they also organize Lok Adalats, or as we are referred to as the Parivarik or the family Lok Adalats, whereby they provide in legal aid to women who are not educated or who require the social and the economic help to understand the setup around them. Empowerment of women is talked of in the sense of education and economic development, I think elaborately by her and by Dr. Kavita. So I would not like to go into details. With respect to crimes against women, we have laws relating to sexual harassment, the Indecent Representation of Women Act, the Dowry Prohibition Act, the Child Marriage Prohibition Act, we have the sex selective abortion, the PNDT test, we have the Female Infanticide, we have the Domestic Violence Act, and we have the Immoral Trafficking Act. The other concerns which are there are in relation to family planning and health issues, nutrition, providing water and health, proper facilities to let the women live with a life of dignity. But all this is not to be, what I feel is, we are coming now up with a women reservation reservation policy. Reservation should not be provided in the sense of empowering a woman. Reservation is for the purpose of giving those who are social and economically backward, who have not had the chance to come forward in society, to provide something which is there and let the reservation not carry on from generation to generation. Let it be a human empowerment law, which empowers human beings at large rather than a man or a woman. Because the reservation policy has created probably a divide in the minds of people with respect to men and women. Women today, the society setup of today is that we have a traditional system which is operating and a modern constitutional measures which are operating. Traditions continue to exist whereby the women with social stigmas and other, on one hand continues with the traditions and on one hand wants to go in for the constitutional measures which are being provided. So what I would like to say is, in the end, much has been done here and much more needs to be done. With this aspect, I would like to wind up my talk. Thank you very much.
Mrs. Arya Kumar.
Both in international as well as the domestic level. In international level, we can see starting from UDHR, ICCPR, and the specific convention which was enacted to support and to favor the rights of the women. CEDAW came into being in the year 1979. And in domestic level, we can see the plethora of the legislation from the Sati Prevention Act to the recent 2005 Prevention of the Domestic Violence Act. Still, the women's issues, the violation against women, discrimination against women continues to exist. So what is the real reason for the continuous existence of the violation of women? We have to think about that aspect, especially in a context where we are talking about the real empowerment of women. With these words, I would like to conclude my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you all the speakers for contributing. We do need a subject of women empowerment to be discussed. That means that everywhere, not only in India, but even in other countries, as you say, in Gambia and your country also, women need to be empowered, right? So there is no doubt that we never have a topic of men empowering the men. Have we? No, we don't. So women needs empowerment, no doubt. And secondly, if you see the Indian background, we have those Devi slokas. Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Shakti Rupena Sanskrita Namastastai 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 Namo Namah. The goddess is invoked, and you see it is always the goddess who is invoked, because the goddess gives you the courage and the power in India. And it is the mother who is worshipped, and as you mentioned, that Nari Pujyate you mentioned, it is there, no doubt. And but unfortunately, we have in India, the women have really suffered and are suffering. And I would just like to just summarize that how can we empower a woman? The basic things you have already, all of you have mentioned. I think firstly is the legislation. By legislation, that is a way of empowering the woman. And we have seen the constitution, the different acts you mentioned, the 39 acts, I am not going to that. Only one act I would like to mention, I don't know whether you know that, it is protection of senior citizen and the welfare of parents, that also for the mother and yes, that. No, it isn't. It is all. But then women, that is the mother is included, the wife is there, the wife and mother. So that's why I mentioned it. So it covers that. Then secondly is the judicial decision, and you have mentioned Vishaka and everything. The judicial decisions throughout our, that is the Supreme Court, the High Court, have contributed to the empowerment of women. Then about the reservation, you see, but in a way it empowers, because we are in some places it's all right for us, we can come here and speak, but in some places unless there is a reservation, at least they can come, and once they come, then they can show their merit. So
my concept is human empowerment.
Yes.
So that it empowers everybody. You should provide equality of opportunity for all. All resources,
Right.
economic,
Right, you are right. But reservation is another method.
That's right.
And I think lastly, I would like to mention, and that is of course education. And education will have general education for all women and legal education. legal literacy. I am just summarizing it quickly. And last but not the least, this is my feeling, and I feel, how can you empower the women in the country? And that I feel is it by educating the men, changing their attitudes, by sensitizing them. It is then, if they are educated, if they are sensitized, and if you really make them aware, then only the women will be empowered. Thank you.
Madam, may I have a minute? Because your question, of course, it is not proper, but I am still asking. Despite all the measures provided in the constitution, laws and everywhere, why? Because this was the question from the chair, that why still the demand of the empowerment of the women is demanded. The reason being, you have touched a little, that man is the man who causes the abuses which the suffering or the, you can say that sufferings are suffered by the women. So the first thing is to reform, rather man has to undertake himself, that he has to reform himself with regard to the woman, though they cannot be separated, because human being, in the constitution itself, we have used the word, we the people of India. Now we does not minus the lady, rather a woman. So likewise, here is the promise we should undertake that individually we should work in the shape of a workshop so that the thing can.
Thank you everybody.
Thank you so much. And now, ladies and gentlemen, you all are invited for a lunch in the block floor. Thank you so much.
To put into motion the 7th working session on regulatory framework for public-private partnerships, a global perspective. We have two eminent speakers. We have with us Anil Gandhi from Feedback Ventures. It's a very prominent consultancy firm which has done yeoman work in this sector. I know its founder and chairman, Vinayak Chatterjee, and over their tenure for the last 25 years, they've done a variety of public-private partnerships. They've structured them, and I think you were in the middle of an IPO or something, because Vinayak and I were together in Germany recently, and he was talking that they are looking to expand. I have on my left Mr. Gagan Anand, who is the senior partner of the legacy law offices. He specializes in corporate practice. This morning he was facilitated by a National Law Award. Congratulations to you, Gagan Anand. He is specializing in corporate practice, and some of the interesting cases he's handling is the case between the government of Himachal Pradesh and Oberoi's in the Himachal High Court, which has been reported frequently in the press. So we have two very interesting panelists. I will make my comments towards the end. I'm Harjeet Anand. I've been secretary, former secretary, Ministry of Housing and Urban Quality Alleviation. I've been a consultant with the ILO. And done various assignments in relation to structuring of companies. Who also headed two public sector companies, the CMD. The key issues before us in the subject on public-private partnership, first and foremost, is transparency. How do you make public-private partnerships transparent? We've had a number of issues these days, but there are two about limited time given, about 45 minutes to settle your papers, and obviously you won't be hearing that